Now, be real with me for 1 second. You ever just wake up one day and say, wow, I want to play League of Legends? You ever just wake up one day and say, wow, I want to enjoy my life? You ever just wake up and say, this is where we hold them. This is where we fight. This is where they die! Look, okay, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but Pantheon is kind of a basic bitch. Ah! But Nick, you don't understand the cute skill shots I have to throw sometimes. Or knowing when to commit with my W. Or when to use my shield. You know, your shield used to block turret shots, right? Both this and old Pantheon. Yeah, remember him? Where his Q was a point and click ability?
Why aren't you level 7?
Pantheon's kit is pretty ordinary when it comes to League of Legends standards. He's not a flashy, complex champion. You kind of just see someone you don't like, run them down, and if they're not dead, you just kind of go,
Ooh, sorry there, bud. Can I get you a Timmy's?
That doesn't mean, however, he's not fun, because he is. Pantheon's passive is Mortal Will. Every time he does a basic attack or uses a spell, he gains a passive stack, maxing at 5. Once maxed out, the next basic ability that he uses becomes Empowered, consuming all of his stacks. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to say something else after that? There's no analysis or anything. That's literally it. Riot's page for Pantheon is a fucking lie. Moderate my ass. Pantheon's Q is Comet Spear. Pantheon can charge his spear, hurling it in a straight line and dealing damage to all enemies hit, but with some damage reduction after the first enemy. You can also just tap Q, so that way he fucking stabs them. But if he fucking stabs them, then the cooldown on Comet Spear is reduced by 60%, and damage isn't reduced past the first enemy hit. With Mortal Will, he deals an additional 20 to 240 damage depending on his level. Oh, and no matter what, if the enemy is below 20% of their max health, you deal bonus damage that can basically execute on an 8-second cooldown at max rank. We just be out here casually chucking spears like, hey, I'm walking here! Considering the ability also scales with 115% of your bonus AD, how well this execute goes with Collector, and how fast this comes out, whether it's a stab or a missile, it just makes you want to go. Shield Vault lets Pantheon leap to a target and stuns them for 1 second. If empowered with Mortal Will, his next basic attack allows him to strike up to 3 times, dealing bonus physical damage and counting towards Mortal Will's charge bar. When empowered, the basic attacks also count as an attack reset. Using this with Press the Attack is a no-brainer, since you've just automatically stacked charges with the 3 free autos. Along with using the rest of your combo, it's a good way to catch out a single target while doing reliable damage. Oh, this also scales with 100% of your ability power. Woo! See, kids, back in the day, people used to willingly play AP Pantheon so you could one-shot people with your W and ult. I always wanted to be a baker. This is AP Pantheon. This was the results of poor life choices. Oh! When Riot reworked him, they not only kept that scaling on both of those abilities, but buffed them like the kind small indie company that they are. They clearly like to keep as much of the old champion as possible when reworking them. Oh, by the way, the W is a point and click. Yeah. Aegis Assault has Pantheon put up his shield for 1.5 seconds. While up, he blocks all non-turret damage that hits his shield. He also strikes his spear in a cone in front of him, scaling off of his AD. At the end, he slams his shield, dealing physical damage to all enemies within the area. He is also slowed while moving with this ability up, but with Mortal Will bonus, he gets a 60% bonus movement speed after recasting the ability. This is the ability that lets new Pantheon become part support. Think of it like an attack damage version of Braum. We'll get back to this later. The shield even blocks Karthus' ultimate, which is nice, and when this thing used to block turrets... Pantheon's ultimate is Grand Starfall.
Castaways, we are castaways.
Hello there.
Pantheon channels for 2 seconds for the biggest yeet of his life, jumping into the air and throwing his spear down at a target location, slowing anybody hit by the spear for 2 seconds, following up with a giant AoE shockwave dealing magic damage scaling off of AP. Once he lands, he also gains full stacks of Mortal Will. Obviously, the range on this thing is beautiful. Playing him mid is a beautiful feeling once you hit 6, just because of how easy it can be to roam with him. Obviously, this is a great tool to engage, especially once the whole team is grouped up together for one big team fight, and your team actually sees you ping and doesn't just leave you stranded. You could be split pushing and see a team fight break out and just casually Uber on down to wherever shit's happening. Just make sure you don't try using this mid team fight is all, for obvious reasons. Personally, I love taking press the attack on Pantheon. When you have your passive fully stacked, just use your W on an enemy champion and it automatically procs press the attack for easy damage with your spears afterwards. Otherwise, Conqueror works pretty well for dueling and whatnot. In theory, you could take Electrocute and Dark Harvest, but Precision Runes just work so well on him, it's hard to pass up. But I guess you could also take Aftershock and not fuck up. Huh. You know, if champions were this similar, you'd think it'd be easier to hit level 7.
I don't get it. What's so important about hit level 7?
Well, it just shows that I'm good with a champion. Like, I know what I'm talking about. Like, how long did it take for you to hit Kiana level 7?
I was playing her junk.
That's not the point.
Itemizing on Pantheon is weird. More than likely, you're going to be building him like an assassin at the beginning with either Eclipse or Duskblade, but then most of the time you're buying something like Sterax to just be a fighter or bruiser and letting you stay in teamfights longer since you're not as mobile as other assassins. Collector is always nice for the extra execute on top of your own execute, and Ravenous Hydra's Omnivamp can be another way to sustain with your Eclipse. If you're that adventurous for AP Pantheon though, just go burst. Night Harvester, Dark Harvest, Rabadons, and whatever you need to blow someone up. I know a lot of these abilities, runes, and items seem a little too much for what I called a pretty basic champion. So TLDR, he stab, he stun, he shield, he run into the enemy fountain. But yeah, he's pretty aight. Oh, quick little note before the end card. Yeah, I had script footage and even the first minute of a top lane Braum video that I made originally because he was going to be the third video instead of Viego back in September of 2020. And here's a little bit of what I had. Braum top. Holy shit, this is fun! Have you ever wanted to run into blinds and then have some random bruiser think they're the shit, and then he chunk half of their health level 1 because they actually thought it was an easy lane, and then right after solo kill them? I just never finished it due to wanting to hit plat and also work and other personal events. But if y'all would still like to see this canceled video, I guess you could call it, just let me know in the comments. The only problem with it is that, like, what's it called? It's gonna be outdated because I filmed all of the stuff before runes were forged. So I could re-record some of the audio or all of the audio or just make it memey, I guess. It doesn't matter. Just let me know if you want to see it. If not, then we'll just forget it ever happened. You know, just forget about it. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If there's a champion that you would like to see get covered on here, please leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it and subscribe. I know it's just numbers on the screen, but it really helps my dopamine. Bars. You guys are awesome. Take care.